Okay, question of the day. Why can't I fix my anxiety on my own? Have you ever tried to break a habit by yourself? Like any habit, but especially a bad habit. Newsflash, nobody can break your habits for you, but also you're extremely unlikely, statistically speaking, to be able to break your habits entirely on your own, which is why a few weeks ago, when I was taking stock of the number of things I have to accomplish in the next couple of weeks and realized how much time I was spending doing various things on my phone, I set stringent time limits on certain activities and banned temporarily a few other activities, and then immediately got up and went and told my wife. I did not tell my wife because I need her to police my YouTube. I work on YouTube. I told her because the moment I share my determination with somebody, that determination breathes its first breath and comes to life. If it only ever lives in my head, it's just a dream. It's not real. It's not alive. This is also, incidentally, why anybody ever dealing with an addiction has been told they needed some kind of accountability structure. We need each other. But I slightly digress. There's something else we can't fix alone, and that is anxiety. And that's the subject of this video. Why can't I fix my anxiety all by myself? The answers can be summed up in 3 words: the vacuum, the fog, and the connection. That's 6 words, I guess. Take away the articles. First, though, let me make a statement that you might well disagree with initially. Hopefully, we'll come to agreement by the end. Here's the statement. When it comes to navigating anxiety, it's not the crisis that counts, it's the quiet after the crisis. One of the patterns that you will often see with anxiety is the amplification of small things. Now, of course, large things can also be amplified. Like sometimes there actually is an actual forest fire that's actually about to burn down your actual house. But generally speaking, we don't consider a negative emotional response to an actual disaster to be an unhealthy psychological pattern. Like that's a healthy response, right? Is it really anxiety? Is it a tragedy? It's a tragedy. So the unhealthy pattern would be when you have an outsized emotional response to something that really shouldn't have that kind of power over you. It's not nearly so much the anxiety you face during a crisis that slowly drains your life away. It's the residual anxiety that continues or even accelerates in the calm that follows. The crisis has passed and you should be returning to joy, but instead of doing that, you're reliving and rehashing the trauma. And not importantly, because you want to relive and rehash the trauma, you're doing it because your brain can't quite tell the difference between anxiety and reality. So we return to the question of the day. Why can't I fix my anxiety all by myself? Here's the 3 reasons. Number 1, the vacuum. Anxiety tends to drive us into a dark corner all by ourselves. Self-isolation. In other words, we withdraw. And what's left behind is a vacuum, a big black void that anxiety feeds on. Anxiety literally needs a vacuum to survive. And the reason for that is that many anxiety triggers would be revealed to be paper dragons if they were viewed in the light. But in the dark, they're the end of the world, or they seem like the end of the world, right? We need to be rid of the vacuum. And the fastest way to get rid of the vacuum is to invite somebody trustworthy to share that space with you. Number 2, the fog. Second reason why we need people. A second defining mark of anxiety is this blurry line between fear and reality, which I kind of already alluded to. We fear and react to the hypothetical, fake things, as though they were real. All the while, we're missing real things because they feel fake. We need to be rid of that confusion, right? We need to see through the fog. But how do you see through the fog? Not to state the obvious too obviously, but it's very difficult to see through fog. What we need is a hand to hold, somebody who is empathetic towards us, understanding of us, but also not party to the same fog that we're in. And that not party to part is very important because when we are in an unhealthy space, just as humans, we often gravitate towards other unhealthy people. And this is partly because healthy people challenge our feelings and ideas, even while, or perhaps because they're being loving and supportive, we don't like to be challenged. We want someone to just coddle and understand, right? And I get that, totally valid. But in this moment, we need somebody who loves us too much to let us wallow. We need someone who is strong enough and gentle enough for us to be safe. Which leads me to number 3, community. Anxiety is often an outgrowth of brokenness of some kind. Broken trust, broken health, broken heart, broken dreams, broken safety. And according to biblical tradition, we were literally created for connection. We were created for communion with God and with our fellow man. Our every human interaction is supposed to help us understand the love and goodness of God better. It's supposed to help us see his character more accurately. In many ways, anxiety is just our brain and body's way of grieving what should have been. Regardless of the specific circumstances, I can say definitively that what should have been was love and belonging and safety and security. And what do those words remind you of? Community and connection and friendship and relationship. The stuff that we were literally designed for. You know, it's not lost on me that according to some experts, the addiction problem is really just the limbic brain's search for connection. When real connection is missing, we replace it with all these counterfeits, most of which hurt us in the end. So if you're determined to do this all by yourself, I got bad news. It just doesn't work. It's really, really difficult. God is truly all we need, but our understanding of him is generally limited by, informed by our human interactions, for better or for worse. Oftentimes, because humanity is messed up, for worse. So it's just not going to work quite right. Here's the good news. The good news is that the medicine, which is connection, is, to borrow a very old metaphor, sweet in the mouth and sweeter in the belly. Now, just remember, if you've only experienced or mostly experienced unhealthy relationships in the past, then obviously we need to pursue future relationships with eyes wide open, right? Because history does tend to repeat itself. But here's the good news. No matter how broken your past, if you are committed to the pursuit of wholeness and you have people in your orbit that are likewise committed to the pursuit of wholeness and they're actively seeking and finding the tools to make that happen, then I have good news, my friend. The miracle is just waiting to begin.